We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
The song that we just sang, Wo Ya Ya, was composed in 1971 in the West African country of Ghana. Musical legend and great guitarist Sol Amarfio wrote most of the words and music, and the first recording of that song in 1971 was by his band Osibisa, made up of amazing Ghanaian and Caribbean musicians. If you don't know that recording, YouTube it as soon as you get home. Now, Wo Ya Ya can be loosely translated as "we are going." And the song has been adopted as a social justice anthem by people all around the world. In some ways, that lyric that we just sang describes our own ongoing, difficult, imperfect journey to live into the high ideals that Unitarian Universalism calls us to embody. Ideals that try to put love at the center and lift up the values of interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. This is the journey we are on together. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road, it's going to be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Recently, our beloved congregation hit a muddy and rough place on our shared journey, one that called us to listen, learn, practice compassion, adjust, admit our imperfection, and forge a way forward so that we could stay together on the path towards transformation and justice. Back in November, I shared a sermon entitled Beyond Bathrooms and the Binary. I outlined a path forward to transform our two main restrooms into two all-gender restrooms. The impetus for this transformation was an earlier decision by the Board of Trustees to live more fully, or should I say try to live more fully, into our vision of providing a church campus where a wide variety and range of identities can be truly welcomed and celebrated. In that November sermon, I shared that gender identity is how and what we feel inside in terms of our gender, who we know ourselves to be, and how we express our gender through clothing, behavior, and personal experience. Now, for some of us, the gender we are now is the same as what was assigned to us at birth. We are cisgender, based on the Latin word cis, which means on the same side. Others of us know that the gender assigned to us at birth is different from our true gender identity. For example, our gender presumed at birth was female, but our gender identity, how we feel and who we are inside, is male. We are transgender, trans being a Latin word that means on the other side. Now, some of us do not identify at all with the categories of male and female. We are non-binary. For others of us, our gender identity can shift within and between female and male, or outside that spectrum, or be a unique and wonderful mix. We are gender fluid. Some of us identify as not having any gender at all. We are agender. Some of us are intersex. Our genitals, chromosomes, and reproductive organs don't fit into an exclusively male or female classification. Some of us are questioning. Some of us are exploring our gender identity. Some of us choose not to label ourselves in any way. We're just us. What this means is that we can no longer label everyone he or she. We need our pronouns to be more expansive and our restrooms to be more inclusive. And for some of us, this has challenged us as we've been called to expand the boundaries of our hearts so that we can care more and love more. In that sermon in November, I went on to say, not too long ago, someone who identifies as non-binary came to a Sunday service for the first time. They gave me permission to share their experience, and I ask all of us to really put ourselves in this person's shoes. They said, as I walked up to the sanctuary as a non-binary person, I was encouraged by the non-binary pride flag hanging outside above the doors. I saw that some people displayed their pronouns on their name tags. I even felt safer during the welcome statement when, from that pulpit, you explicitly declared that gender diversity is welcome and celebrated here. I thought, could this be a spiritual home for me? In the middle of the service, I needed to use the restroom. An usher pointed them out to me, and I walked over. I looked at the bathroom doors. I'm non-binary. I don't identify as male or female. Your restrooms offered me only a men's room or a women's room. I'm neither. These weren't restrooms for me. I didn't feel safe going in either one. There was also a sign that said a gender-neutral restroom was available somewhere else, in an office. I could try to find that secondary alternative restroom in a building I didn't even know how to get to, but I wasn't included in the real church restrooms. The Reverend Sean Parker Dennison, whose pronouns are they, them, theirs, writes, I wish you a place and a people who do not want you in pieces, incomplete and partial. A world that no longer asks anyone to wrench apart their heart or divide soul from mind, from nature, from core. I bless you with all that is whole. This world can be an inhospitable, dangerous, and sometimes deadly place for those who identify as trans or non-binary. Today, in parts of this country, their very right to exist is being erased by state legislatures and school boards. Today, in this country, their very right to exist, to have an identity, is being erased by the federal government, the president, and the courts. As a Unitarian Universalist congregation, I know we want to offer an alternative. As Unitarian Universalists, we feel called to rebuild our congregations around greater safety and inclusivity. We are called to allow each other to live our truths and true identity, remembering that we are interdependent and responsible for each other. But in November and December, we held a series of listening circles to get congregational feedback about the transformation of our restrooms, which we expected to happen in early January. Something happened that we didn't anticipate. The Board of Trustees and I began to hear from some female members of the congregation who were uncomfortable losing a bathroom designated for those who identified as female. It wasn't that they so much objected to sharing a bathroom with someone who was transgender or non-binary. We never heard that. But they did feel uncomfortable sharing a bathroom with someone who identified as a cisgender male. This discomfort with sharing an intimate mixed gender restroom was often tied to past sexual trauma that they or someone they knew had experienced. In the sharing circles, we heard stories of pain and stories of fear. Fear that they worried would be triggered by sharing a restroom with a cisgender male. The Board of Trustees and I were faced with something we hadn't expected. We were holding the truths of two different kinds of pain. The pain of non-binary persons who felt excluded by our binary bathrooms, and the pain of some women in the congregation who were survivors of past sexual assault. The Board of Trustees agonized at the reality of this dual pain. Not moving forward with converting our two main restrooms to all-gender restrooms felt like we were stepping back from a commitment to being a truly welcoming congregation. But moving forward with our commitment felt like we were ignoring the past and present trauma of some of the women in our congregations. I have great respect for the depth of care and the depth of commitment to justice and transformation that every member of our Board of Trustees exhibited in over 2 months of emotional, painful, at times heated, but always respectful conversation. I am proud of the integrity of our Board of Trustees and how seriously they wrestled with the dilemma. I too wrestled with this challenge. I had stood before the congregation and promised the transformation of our restrooms. To not follow through would feel like I had lied to the congregation and our non-binary members and friends. Were we actually not going to live up to our highest ideals of our Unitarian Universalist faith? It was very clear that no matter what we did, people were going to be hurt by our decision. In an attempt to hold all that pain expressed to us and to offer as much care as we could, I recommended that the board vote on a compromise that didn't fully implement our vision of diversity, equity, and inclusion, but that still moved us forward on that path, a path that prioritized holding the congregation together imperfectly, but as best we could. After multiple meetings and hours of discussion, our board of trustees voted to have 2 different restrooms. We would convert the men's room into an all-gender restroom for everyone, cis, trans, non-binary, and gender fluid. And we would maintain a women's room for anyone who identified as female, whether cis, trans, or gender fluid. Half of our main restrooms would live out our vision of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Half of our main restrooms would honor the concerns expressed by some, but not the majority, of the women in the congregation. And the office would still have a separate private restroom for anyone who wanted it, if you could find it. This was not a unanimous vote by the Board of Trustees, but the board's majority voted yes, and the board unanimously agreed to support the implementation, even if they didn't support the compromise itself. We are currently in the midst of construction, with the process delayed by supply chain issues that have kept our new bathroom stalls from being delivered. Now, I want to be clear. Because of this decision, we've hurt people we love. We've disappointed people. We've disappointed ourselves. There have been a few non-binary members and friends who have stepped back from the church. One person who identifies as non-binary said to me and gave me permission to share, "This decision means the congregation is not ready to be who you say you are." Another non-binary person said, "Do I feel safe at UU Fresno? Yes. Do I feel fully seen, understood, and welcomed? I'll wait and see." The trans congregant told me, "Having only one all-gender restroom feels like a loss of what could have been, but it is still one all-gender restroom. That's progress." I think of these words by the Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto, whose pronouns are they, them. "Dear trans, non-binary, genderqueer, and gender-expansive friends and kin, and those of us whose gender is survival. You are not hard to love and respect. Your existence is a blessing. Your pronouns are not a burden or a trial. They are part of your name, just shorter. Someone getting them wrong is not a poor reflection on you. It is not your fault. It is not okay for anyone to press their story of you back to the beginning of our liberation. We will find the people ready to be on the freedom for the people way." I still believe that most of us at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno are people ready to be on the freedom for the people way, or at least we're striving to be. Yes, there are some of us who don't fully understand gender diversity or understand why an all-gender main bathroom matters so much to non-binary or trans persons who face potential hate and abuse anytime they enter any public restroom. And yes, there are those of us who, because of past trauma or present fear, still want the perceived safety of a single-gender restroom. But I believe that most of us are people ready to be on the freedom for the people way, or at least we're striving to be. But I confess, in this circumstance, I failed to live up to my highest ideals. And dear ones, we failed to live up to our highest ideals. Living up to those ideals is our vision for who we want to be. It will be hard, we know. And the road will be muddy and rough. But we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. But we know we will. Que así sea. May it be so.